Yo, what's going on, everyone? How are you today? It's Monday morning following a brutal, and I mean a brutal loss to the New York Giants. Extremely disappointing. I have no idea how it ended up that way. Jalen Hurts had a piss poor game. Jalen Reagor had a miserable game. I thought Nick Sirianni really got away from what they've been doing well over the last couple of weeks as well. So it's a combination of a lot on top of injuries, not having some of your backs. Miles Sanders goes down in the game. Jordan Howard not available for the game. Jason Kelsey goes down. That was massive as well. Nate Herbig, some holding calls. It's just a combination of a lot. But yeah, I mean, it absolutely starts with the head coach and the quarterback. The quarterback with some putrid throws that are just unacceptable. Some really bad decision-making, throwing into double coverage. The play right before the half is inexcusable, where you got to recognize the clock and the time and manage that, kick a field goal, live another day type of thing. That was a Carson Wentz-esque type of play where you're trying to do too much when you have to live for another down and live for a field goal, live for 3 points. You would have got the ball back right at the half, so momentum would have been in your favor. There's a lot. And then, yes, of course, the Jalen Hurts debate comes back up because the fact that he had trouble throwing the ball, and the Giants openly admitted that we wanted him to throw the ball, and they had backups in too because they were injured in that secondary and things of that nature. You know, what does that tell you? That a banged-up Giants team who's not very good is begging you to throw the football. That has been my concern since we've kind of started this Jalen Hurts experiment. But with Jalen Hurts, I will admit that doesn't mean that he's the worst ever and he's got no skill set and no upside. He's different. He's unique. His legs are his strongest attribute. That doesn't mean that that's not something you could be successful with. So I'm not just pretending like the game against Denver didn't happen. The Denver game was probably his best game throwing the ball. This game was probably his worst game throwing the ball. Where is he when you think about it? Probably being somewhere in the middle. Is it something that is successful or can be successful enough? I don't know. That's why we have more time to kind of figure this bad boy out, more games to play, to study and analyze how he rebounds from this type of effort. We have this cup of coffee that's staring me right in the face. I've been up for about an hour and a half, and I haven't had any coffee yet because I was waiting to have my first cup of Joe with you. I had to run around and take care of the puppies. My fiance she had to go into work this morning. Doesn't happen often, but she had to go into the building in Center City. So that means I'm on dog duty. I'm running around like a nut job. I haven't had my cup of Joe yet. I was waiting, though, to have it with you. I made a little pumpkin spice. It's just black pumpkin spice Wawa coffee. I'm feeling it this morning with the crispness outside, if you will. It gave me that fall, winter vibe where I'm feeling it. By the way, hold on. Let me take a sip first. I'm dying over here. Good stuff. I went for a peppermint mocha latte, or what was it? It was a peppermint. Yeah, I think it was like a peppermint mocha latte or something. I saw people tweeting about it, saying it's so underrated as a holiday drink. Everyone loves pumpkin spice stuff, but the real money maker during the holidays and the holiday blend is this peppermint mocha. It's all right. It's okay. It is what it is. Overrated, if I'm being honest. It's all right. But anyway. How are you, everyone? I see the chat is flying. People are not happy. We got some going nuts and then some going in the other direction. Yeah, see, this is and this guy is notorious for being overly obnoxious. And Jalen Hurts yesterday is exactly why I can't watch the Eagles next year if he's the quarterback. Well, why are you discrediting the other games that were solid? Right? This was a bad game, no doubt about it. But you're acting as if there's been no good games, and there hasn't been any games where he's been important. That game against the Saints, you want to look at the throwing numbers, fine, but the running game does not get going, and the threat of Jalen Hurts running was a massive impact on the way that the other guys were able to run. That Saints game, he was crucial to the success. That Denver game, he was magnificent. There are a lot of games where he did his job, and he did his job very well, that you're just going to throw away in the trash because of one bad game. Yeah, this raises doubts and this raises concerns, and the same concerns that we have been talking about. But, you know, this is where I can't get behind the fact of going so damn one way because of one game and then so aggressive the other way after another game where it's not game-by-game basis. That's not how you're supposed to judge somebody. You're supposed to judge somebody over a big body of work. And we're supposed to judge him over a 17-game sample size with progression and seeing if there's steps in the right direction. Now, there were until this point. And then yesterday was a step back in the wrong direction. But if he responds with 4 strong games again, with a good game plan by Nick Sirianni, I also thought he set up the quarterback to fail. It's not ironic when they lean a certain way play calling, you dominate teams compared to when you have him throw the ball 30-something times, you end up failing. And that doesn't mean that he stinks and he's pathetic and he's brutal, because he's a unique, different style of quarterback that has a very strong skill set that is interesting to this league. It has its ceiling. It has its peak. It has its ceiling in the throwing the ball department. But the question has been, can you maneuver around that if you are really talented in other areas? And the answer may be yes. It might be no, but I can't rule out the answer may be yes. What does this say? A head coach doesn't want to run the ball 50 times every week, dude. Say that to Harbaugh. Say that to what's happening in Baltimore with the Ravens. I actually give them an insane amount of credit for going, hey, this is unconventional. This is not the traditional route that everybody sees and demands, but we're going to create an entire off, and they get double-digit wins every year. Now, they do struggle in the postseason. Nobody's denying that. They struggle in the postseason. But they have sustained double-digit wins consistently because of how much of a threat Lamar Jackson is. Jalen Hurts is not that level of runner. He's not that burst of speed runner that Lamar Jackson is. I am not putting him in that same category. I'm just laying out the uniqueness in both where it's an unconventional way. Look, I'm telling you, I haven't been sold on Jalen Hurts, and I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. I'm not. I still lean towards maybe he's not the guy, but I can't just pretend like he hasn't done anything because he has games like, and because this hiccup happens after 4 games that you can get behind. This was how it was going to be. There'd be good games, there'd be bad games. This falls in the category of a bad game, but I'm not just going to pretend everything else doesn't matter. And just like if he has a couple games where it's solid, I won't forget that this game happened. This game matters too. The discussion points should be focused and can be a conversation, but I don't like how it gets taken to this obnoxious extreme. Yes, legitimate concerns, legitimate conversation. To pretend like he's done nothing right and nothing good, and just because of a 3-interception game, therefore everything else goes out the window, is also unfair in my opinion. Brodes, Hurts' play style remains like Ben Simmons. Reminds me of Ben Simmons. Can win you games in the regular season, but inability to produce with arm will hurt in a bigger game. I think when you're young, yes. Their story is not fully written on Lamar Jackson right now. He's had troubles in that area, and that's been a problem with the Ravens getting over the hump. But who's to say that when you're young, that happens, and then you learn and grow and adapt and improve. And yesterday, he had a tough day at the office. He made some really bad decisions. But ultimately, the Ravens are still a very good football team. And the fact that it takes a couple years for someone like Lamar Jackson to figure out how to get over the hump, that's okay to me. And that's not something that is ridiculous. That makes a lot of sense in my opinion. A lot of these quarterbacks do. Carson Wentz has yet to win a playoff game. Justin Herbert, these players, these young gunslingers, they're going to walk into playoffs and they're going to have to learn how to win in playoff moments. And they'll probably lose and have tough losses and have to adapt and go back to the drawing board just like anybody else will. So to be fair, these young quarterbacks who are gunslingers have to go through the same damn thing. Dak Prescott, he loses in a playoff game. He has to do the same damn thing. All these quarterbacks, it's not just a product of guys who struggle throwing the football. It's a product of everyone losing a tough game in a playoff setting and then having to establish, what do I need to do differently? How do I approach this differently to grow and groom and be blossomed into a quarterback that can win these games consistently? Yeah, that's a part of adapting as a professional athlete. That's called being a pro athlete. So it happens with more than just non-throwing quarterbacks as their number one skill set. It happens to everybody. Look at Matthew Stafford, gunslinger. My guy's having some trouble. 3 straight losses for the Rams. Is he now just a horrendous quarterback who sucks? No. Now, I'm not telling you Jalen Hurts is the answer. I'm just saying the obnoxiousness of the aggressiveness is kind of what pisses me off and ticks me off more than anything else. We got a $2 donation coming in from Mick. Fly, losers, fly, go Eagles. Okay. Thanks for the $2 donation. I hope that makes you feel better to throw that comment up there. But all jokes aside, I appreciate the donation. Yeah, the Giants won. I mean, that's what I got for you. The Giants won. There's really nothing else to it. Wade, I'm sorry, we're not going into Sixers mode. You do this a lot here on Monday mornings. You chime in about the 2019 Sixers kind of consistently. I appreciate the basically $3 donation, $2.79 Canadian dollar donation. Yeah, I mean the Sixers in 2019, the Eagles just lost the game to the New York Giants. You know, we're kind of in football mode today, and yeah, I'm sorry, but you do this a lot. Yes, the 2019 Sixers is better than where the Sixers are right now, though. Nelson Aguilar and Jalen Reagor. Which drop was worse? Well, I'm going Jalen Reagor. See, Nelson Aguilar, he helped win you a Super Bowl, and he had a monster Super Bowl. He had a big, huge, large Super Bowl that people just pretend didn't happen. So I have to at least go in the direction of Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor. Yeah, see, we're getting a lot of non-foot. It's crazy. It's Monday morning after such a disgusting loss, and now we got Sixers questions and now Phillies/Mets questions. $2 coming in from Stephen K. Did you see Max to the Mets? Yes, I did see that they have proposed an offer to him. The latest I saw was it has not been fully accepted yet, unless something did happen. Hold on, we got some Flyers news. Oh no, sorry. The latest I saw was they're still kind of waiting for the full acceptance of the deal. But yes, I did see that. And to me, it's like the Mets are spending a lot of money on a lot of players that are really old and in the back end of their career. So we'll see what happens. It seems like Steve Cohen is kind of going on that rage where he's just pissed off with what happened with Mats. And now he's just going to sign guys left and right, a lot of money on the table, and just going for a lot of old guys. But, well, you know, we can have that conversation as the week progresses and we see more moves being made. I apologize, everyone. I'm in football mode here. I'm sorry. This is like a big emotional day for me where we're talking about a Birds loss to the Giants, a 13-7 loss where Jalen Hurts, guess what? All throughout that adversity with that game, when the game mattered and there was crunch time involved, he threw dots. He threw balls right on the money. That first Jalen Reagor ball, I mean, it needs to be caught. That's a walk-in touchdown, no-brainer. The second one, you want to talk about Devontae Smith being open. I think it's fair to say that there was an area where he could have made the throw and hit Devontae Smith. He still hit Jalen Reagor right on the money, which would have brought them down to about the 1-yard line, and they would have been in a position to punch it in and score a touchdown there as well, which, like the alternative, okay, yes, he might have missed Devontae Smith, even though I do believe people are discrediting the high safety there. It was still in the NFL, that play is available and could be made. The second play that he went to there to Jalen Reagor was right on the money, right at the goal line. That play needs to be made. Needs to be made. Needs to be made. Both of them need to be made. The crunch time where, like, okay, you sucked all game long, but I got to make a couple drives here. It seemed like the Eagles were going to go down, but Boston Scott fumbled. And then when they did kind of move the sticks a little bit, okay, let's throw it to Jalen Reagor, right on the money for a walk-in touchdown, and they missed. It's extremely disappointing. Jalen Reagor, my guy, wow. Now, I said this in the postgame show, and I'll give him some credit here. Standing up to the media afterwards, this isn't going to change him catching footballs. This isn't going to change where he is with his career here in Philadelphia. But I will tip my cap and say kudos to you. Now, your job is to catch the football. That's more important. But based off of the circumstances, I won't pretend like I didn't notice that. I noticed that, and I think the team notices that as well, for whatever that's worth. It's not a big deal in terms of him now changing into like a superstar wide receiver, but it's not easy to do. And if I'm just going to look at his character and look at him as a human being, I'll say kudos to you. Kudos to you. We got a $5 donation coming in from Radiation. Even when the Eagles had losing seasons, they would always beat the Giants. This loss really put the season in perspective. This team is rebuilding. I mean, we knew that, though. I mean, yeah, you're right. I didn't anticipate losing to the Giants. I did see a loss probably to the Washington football team if we were looking at the back schedule on paper. And to be honest with you, I mean, the Giants were not good. They scored 13 points. They had field goals in there. They made some poor decisions, like kicking the field goal for the 51-yarder that they ended up missing. They were not very good in this, but this was just the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot. And I honestly believe, as much as Jalen Hurts was not very good, I think it started with the game plan, with Nick Sirianni heading in a different direction than what was working over the last couple of weeks. And I will say, with this said game plan, if Jalen Hurts played better, would it be good enough to win against the stinking Giants? Probably. But with that said, we keep talking about putting your players in the best positions to succeed. And I don't think that Nick Sirianni did that this week. So if I look at the Eagles just shooting themselves in the foot, when you talk about this team rebuilding, yes, they are rebuilding. We knew that, but still, they had plenty of talent and the ability to win this football game with or without, in a rebuild mode and with a retooling structure. They still had plenty of talent and plenty of reasons to win this game with or without that. So, that doesn't really cross my mind in this conversation because, one, yes, that's inevitable where they are. I haven't changed my perspective on where they were. I knew this is where they were, which is like a rebuilding style, a team that didn't have naturally enough talent yet, but they're still able to beat bad teams like this, and they let this one slip. So regardless of the rebuild or not, they let this one slip. There's no doubt about it. Thank you so much for the donation, though. No, I don't think it was that. I think it was more of he just fell back into his old ways. And I think there was an emphasis on trying to get Jalen Reagor going because they talked about it forever. Oh, Jalen Reagor, he's explosive. We need to get him going. I think he was just so fascinated on figuring out how to get Jalen Reagor going as an offensive player, where that was the stress and that was the emphasis, which really costed this football team because they force-fed him. And now I'm starting to wonder, did Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have their voices into this to kind of force Nick Sirianni to go down this path? So it's like, hey, we're playing the stinking Giants. Hey, the Giants are not good. Here's an opportunity to see if Jalen Reagor can get some type of noise going so we could shut up the fan base about how bad he is. And then this was the result that you got. I mean, I kind of feel it's more of that than anything else. Yeah, I agree here, Biggie. Now, I agree with saying I didn't like them force-feeding Reagor. Agree completely. I still have faith in Hurts, is how Biggie kind of opened up his comment here. Yes and no. I mean, I think the legitimate concerns are showing, and they're glaring. And, is it easy to go down this road? If by the end of the year, you still don't know if Jalen Hurts is the guy because he's done a lot of good things mixed with a lot of bad things, is the answer he's not your guy? If you still have to wonder because there were some shining moments, but there were some putrid moments, if your answer fully isn't, yes, he's definitely the guy, is the answer he's not the guy? And I think that that's fair to kind of bring up. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying I like some things that he has in his repertoire. I like his skill set. I don't think the more and more I watch this league play out, I'm starting to say, I don't know if you fully 1,000% need a full-on traditional pocket passer. There are other ways to get creative and to dice some things up when you have such a special talent and skill set in other areas that I can't just discredit. But, it's a journey with these type of players where you have to lose and you have to feel the pain and you have to lose a playoff game and you have to go through some tough losses. But at the end of the day, so does other quarterbacks. So do gunslingers. So do great quarterbacks. I mean, losing is a part of this that really help you out over the long run of adapting your skill set and learning on the job kind of. So, I'm in a tough spot. And I said that I knew I'd be this way. When we started this season, I literally made the statement of, I know exactly where I'm going to be by the end. He's going to do a lot of good things that I love, and then he's going to have some really ugly moments, and then I'm going to be in a conflicted emotional area where I don't know what to do. But I guess I can go right back to the statement I just made, where if you don't know by the end because you're conflicted, the answer is no. I wouldn't be disappointed if they went another direction, and I wouldn't be disappointed if they gave him another opportunity, as long as they utilize those draft picks to fill in spots in this roster, I should say, that over the long run here, you're kind of reshaping into finding your Malcolm Jenkins, finding your next Fletcher Cox, finding your young playmakers that are going to be here for a long period of time. I can get behind Jalen Hurts if you're filling out your roster with those type of players. Jalen Hurts can be the guy if he takes care of the football. And that's another point to make up, or to bring up, I should say. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. 3 turnovers is an obnoxious amount for him. That's not something that he does week in and week out. So it's an outlier. I label this as the outlier, and I label Denver Broncos as an outlier with how strong he threw the football. He's somewhere in the middle. And if he can consistently become somewhere in the middle where it's not up and down, egregious game, great game, egregious game, great game, and it's more, this is what you're getting on a consistent basis, well, then maybe there is something to his skill set, you know? Yeah, I agree. They got away from it. And don't look at the box score and say, no, they didn't. They got away from it. On 3rd and 4th, if you know you're going to go for it on 4th and 2, why aren't you running the ball on 3rd and 2? Instead, you're passing it, and the first read was looking to your left and trying to find Jalen Reagor. That tells me that's by design. That's where the ball was supposed to go when the ball was hiked. And before that, it was Kenneth Gainwell. So 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, we're running plays for Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Reagor. It just doesn't make sense on how you end up going through that in your brain if you're Nick Sirianni. That's the bonkers scenario for me. Okay, we get it, dude. Like your name is Howard, running back 1. You love Jordan Howard. I don't understand how you have an erection this large for a running back. I mean, I know he's been doing well, but we got you. You like Jordan Howard. I think you can kind of just tone it down a little bit with the excitement level, you know? Yeah, I mean, let's relax a little bit. We got you. He's a tough runner. We knew he was a tough runner, but you know, let's be like logical and let's have a conversation. You're right. Hurts is inconsistent. Young quarterbacks are inconsistent. Right? I mean, young quarterbacks are inconsistent. That's what happens when you're a young quarterback. Carson Wentz went 7-9 his first year here. Nobody ever anticipated such a massive jump in the second year. Not that Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to provide that type of level, but that isn't who Carson Wentz is fully. We know that. He's somewhere in the middle. He's somewhere in the middle, MVP 2017, and what a disastrous effort he put together last year. Just like Jalen Hurts is somewhere in between Denver and somewhere in between the New York Giants that you saw yesterday. But being inconsistent is part of being a 23-year-old, 24-year-old guy in this league. That's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, I think that's massive, though, for sure, is the defensive line. While they might have had some decent pressure here and there, ultimately, I'd say I was underwhelmed with their performance. Ironically enough, out of everybody, I thought Derek Barnett made a couple plays that stood out to me. But with that offensive line, the fact that you weren't able to get sacks the way you needed to, it's ridiculous. It probably should have been to the level against the Lions where it was nonstop action over and over again. And even when you brought pressure, guess what? They had the answer. Every time you brought pressure and you brought a blitz, you brought an extra guy, they had the answer. That's why, when there's the people that just scream, you got to blitz all the time. I could live with some of the decisions to blitz. I'm not anti-blitzing, and especially the first one, I believe it was, I'd have to look back through the notes. I don't know why 3rd and 7 sticks out to me fully, but I'm going to, actually, it was the 4th and 1. How about the 4th and 1 that they just gave to them? They just gave them the 4th and 1 on the second drive that resulted in 3 points. But I want to see exactly where, because I remember writing it down that you brought pressure and they had the answer. Nah, okay, it wouldn't be this deep. Wouldn't be this deep into the game. Oh, it was 3rd and 7. Yeah, it was the third quarter. I don't know if this was the first pressure or not, but like no, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. 3rd and 7, though, it was the Booker for a 17-yard on the screen. He got beat. You got beat like as soon as you bring it's like bang, they had the answers. Bang, they had the response. Bang, they had the play call to counter exactly what you were doing. So bringing the blitz doesn't necessarily always work, even though you're trying to bring an extra guy. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, everyone would blitz every single time. Every D coordinator in the entire world would blitz. There's a timely effectiveness to the blitz, and it's a methodical approach that you have to be smooth with. And yesterday, the New York Giants, of all teams, had every single answer. I was waiting for Fletch all day yesterday. The narrative that he gets double teamed because they kind of switched once Javon Hargrave got going. They kind of switched and brought more looks towards Javon Hargrave. It's ironic you bring up Fletch because on the 2nd and 3 before the 3rd and 7, Fletch did have a massive stop for a tackle for loss that put them in that 3rd and long scenario. And then, of course, they weren't able to accomplish their goal. So, yeah. Yeah, I know. I'll put him in timeout. He's annoying me today as well. Yeah, I don't get it. Like I understand that Jordan Howard is a important piece to this team, but I won't allow it to get to this level where your name is Jordan Howard, running back 1. I mean, come on now. What are you doing? What's up, Mike? What's happening? 3rd and 7 blitz. Yeah, they killed us with the screen, the Booker. They actually answered pretty much every single time they brought pressure throughout the game. And, I put this on Jalen Hurts. I put this on Nick Sirianni. I thought those two, I thought Nick Sirianni really got away from what was successful. And then I thought Jalen Hurts really made some bad reads out there, whether he just missed some throws, didn't see the field very well, threw in the double coverage. It was extremely disappointing and a step in the wrong direction for him. But, you can, and it sucks that you see a team like the Jets, because if he does have a good bounce back, your answer is basically going to be, well, who cares? You did it against a bad team and a brutal team that is not good, even though I'm pretty sure they won yesterday, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Those 1:00 games, I had it on Red Zone on the TV next to me, but it kind of got lost in the sauce when we're coming down to the wire and trying to figure out if you're going to beat the damn Giants. Yeah, they did. They beat the Texans 21-14. But yeah, it's like if they do bounce back, if they do have a good game, if Jalen Hurts does respond, the response is going to be along the lines of, you did it against the New York Jets, who are abysmal. So we kind of know that's going to be reality of the situation. Now, I'm not upset with the defense today. There was the one drive towards the end. I thought that the ball was getting moved at a rate that I didn't love, but it ended up being a field goal. 13-7 was the score. The Eagles offense got the ball back with 2:54 to go with 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. There was one drive that bothered me from the defense, but at the end of the day, they did just fine. They did enough. They got their stops. Daniel Jones, this offense, I mean, they're not very good. You give them 13 points, you should win this game every single time. 1,000 out of 1,000 times, you should win this football game giving up 13 points. So I really can't look at the defense and give too much of criticism towards them. There was the one drive. I'm not in love fully with everything they did, and I think that's part of just the Jonathan Gannon experience at this point, because I think we understand his philosophy, even though he tries to tell us he doesn't have a philosophy. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, you can't be mad at the defense. Not saying you're saying that, but I'll tell you what else you can't be mad at: WinView, because they just give you the opportunity to win money left and right. I'm becoming a sneakerhead. I bought 5 pairs already at this point. They keep coming in nonstop. I'm obsessed. But the reason why I'm able to go to StockX, go to the GOAT app and buy all these shoes, go to the sneakers app, is because of how I'm cashing out on WinView. Now, what WinView is it's basically just answering questions about the game. It's not about the spread, the over-unders, or the salary cap type of leagues. No. It's just basic questions about the game before the game begins. There's live contests. There's weekend-long contests. There's so many different variables to this. If you answer the questions about the game that you love correctly, you cash out. So forget about all that time researching what players you want to utilize and teams you want to bet on, only to end up short. Play against family, friends, and rivals during sporting contests. Put your sports knowledge to the test. They're doubling your deposit bonus up to $100. For all first-time users, your first deposit will be doubled up to $100. That means if you deposit and spend $50, you'll get $100. If you deposit and spend $100, you will get $200. This is the perfect bonus to take advantage of during the NFL season, NBA, NHL, and more. It's the nation's leading sports predictor, allowing you to compete in all these contests against other people out there. Make sure you take advantage. WinView.tv/Brodes. The information is down below in the description. Do not be foolish. Make sure you check it out. All right, let's see here. I'm just seeing what's going on the Twitter world. Sometimes around this time in Coffee with Brodes, things start to happen. It looks like the Pittsburgh Penguins and Fenway Sports Group, a global sports marketing, media, and entertainment, have entered an agreement of controlling interest in the Penguins. Yeah, we kind of knew that was happening. Teams are coming after Pirates catcher. That's from John Heyman. The Phillies, hold on. The Phillies have had recent contact with Nick Castellanos. There it is. The Phillies had recent contact with reps for free agent Nick Castellanos. Note, Dave Dombrowski was Tigers president when Castellanos was Detroit's pick in 2010. So there's that. Remember the DH too. So I know I said I'm in football mode, and I am in football mode, but speaking of football, Temple football, not that everyone's a diehard fan. I'm not even a fan of Temple football, but they did fire their head coach, Rod Carey. So you kind of saw that coming. It's difficult. Yes and no. I mean, this is where we're having the problems, right? Before this game, did you feel that way about Nick Sirianni? Because the reaction to Nick Sirianni before yesterday was he's figuring it out. He seems to be trending in the right direction. He had a hiccup. Yesterday, he had a hiccup. But now, does that mean everything he did right just goes out in the trash? Early in the year, he went with a philosophy that made no sense. He scrapped it and said, screw it. This is abysmal. This is not working. Let's get to something that works and is to the strengths of this team. Then everyone loves him and goes, hey, there's something to Nick Sirianni. He had a hiccup yesterday. Does that now mean that, this is a growing thing. This is something that you have to realize. You study what you saw over 17. You can't go week by week by week by week. Yes, we obviously react and criticize and give praise week by week, but the big picture is, if I asked you this question, do you trust Nick Sirianni? Before yesterday's game, after witnessing the last handful of games, your answer would have been yes. Your answer would have been, he's clearly figured something out, and he scrapped what wasn't working, and I feel good that he's trending in the right direction. And now, all of a sudden, one game, and it's like, I can't trust this guy. Just relax. I'm not telling you Nick Sirianni's the greatest coach in the world here, all right? I'm not going overboard, but we got to stop this strong, insane reach week by week. It's about a sample size. It's about a body of work. Because you can close your eyes. If it's about one game, you can close your eyes and pick any game. Bang. If you happen to land on Denver, you think Jalen Hurts is elite. Bang. If you happen to pick New York Giants, you think he's the worst quarterback in the league. Well, he's not. He's somewhere in the middle. Once again, when Hurts starts running, what does that mean? When Hurts start running? I disagree. Did you see that third quarter drive? That third quarter drive was great. And that wasn't because there was nothing. It was because it was by design. Third down, you're running with Hurts using his legs, running to the right side in between Lane Johnson and Jack Driscoll. You also had Devontae Smith lay out a nice block in there as well. And they went down and scored. Boston Scott got a touchdown. That's when you lost Driscoll eventually. Herbig came in to play right guard. They made the score 10-7. Kind of bled into the fourth quarter a little bit. And I think that's fine. I think that's fine to be conflicted. I think it's fine to be conflicted, but I just don't like taking it over. I think they put him in Landon Dickerson's the future at center. So throwing Nate Herbig in there, they don't like to maneuver around their entire lineup and their entire starting five in that in the offensive line department. That's their message consistently. So something we need to keep an eye out on. But yeah, Nate Herbig had a struggle at the center position. I think he does a better job at guard than he does center. So maybe moving Landon Dickerson to center if Jason Kelsey's going to be banged up and nicked up. Is that the secondary plan moving forward? I don't know, because they don't want to move. The problem is they don't want to move Dickerson from left guard to center, and then now their center is worse and their left guard is worse instead of keeping your left guard the same and then only one position getting worse. I don't know, but you can't continue to trot out Herbig if he's going to have holdings and things of that nature. Well, I'm talking about, no, Landon Dickerson long term is probably going to be something that is center related. And Landon Dickerson could move into that center slot for sure. I haven't really heard much on the Isaac Seumalo front, though, or with Brandon Brooks, to be honest with you. That's because your offensive line has been dominant for so long now here in this season that you kind of forget about those players that are injured when that's the case. I'm shocked on the Phillies taking Castellanos. Isn't it an unwritten rule the Phillies must butcher in left field on defense? Yeah, you're not going to get the greatest defense in the world from Castellanos. I promise you that. You're probably not going to get the best defense in the world. Oh man, what's happening here? I don't. What a brutal weekend to watch sports. The Flyers were bad. The Sixers had a tough loss, but it was an entertaining game against the Timberwolves. Hey, your Philadelphia Union won. I watched the Union again yesterday. It was a fun game. Nashville stinks. Brutal by Nashville on the PKs. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a diehard Union fan and I'm taking the time out of my life to become a diehard Union fan. But it was exciting over the last couple of playoff games to check in and feel the pulse of the Union and the fans that are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, but you know it's cool to feel off that energy. I checked in and hung out and watched a little bit. What's up, Bryce? What's happening? What's my expectations of this team as they finish out the season? Honestly, what it was before yesterday. They should beat the Jets. They should probably, I guess it changed a little bit with this loss to the Giants, but they should split with Washington. So I see them as a team that should split with Washington, beat the Jets, win their, what else is there? Sorry, I'm drawing a little bit of a blank. What am I missing here? They have the Jets, Washington, the Cowboys. Oh, and the other Giants game. That's right. So, yeah, I mean, the way I see it playing out, my expectations be beat the Jets, split with Washington, beat the Giants, and then it depends with that Cowboys stuff. So much is up in the air. Does it matter for them? Does it not matter for them? And I'm saying the Cowboys, that is. What does it mean in regards to their seeding and how are they at that time? So it has so much on what happens leading up to that game because there's so much football left that it's hard for me to have that answer right now. But that's really my expectations heading into that game. Do I want Watson? No, I mean, we kind of had the discussion on Watson. Nothing's been cleared up in those regards. So we need to wait for all the information to be figured out by the league and figured out by everything before we put our eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket. And Wilson, no, I don't want to trade all these first-round picks for Russell Wilson. I think we're going to have to shape up this roster with playmaking players on the defensive side of the football and things of that nature. So what I want to do is I want to fill out this roster. Now, if they go in the direction of landing a quarterback with a pick or something along that line, I'm not against it. I'm not fully against it, but I want to get some young playmakers because we have to build for the future here as well. And that's something that's where they need to get better at. They need to get young talent, young playmaking talent on the defensive side of the football. They're lacking in that area, and that's a way to do it is by the draft for sure. And also utilizing your money with the cap space, with the money that's coming off the books with Carson Wentz. I don't think Russ. I don't think Russ is 100%. Well, yeah, I don't think this is who Russell Wilson is. I think it's clear that the season that he has put out on display this year is not the Russell Wilson that we are accustomed to. And I've seen so much greatness from Russell Wilson that do I expect him at this age, which he's not that old. He's older in his career, but he's not that old. Quarterbacks nowadays play until 37, 38, 39, hell into their 40s, that someone who's 32 or so in that range, he's got plenty of miles left on the tires here where, I don't expect this to be Russell Wilson forever. This is more of just a hiccup season, a tough season. All these good quarterbacks have a year that they would like to have back where they weren't their strongest. And, they were a little bit disappointing and they're upset. They're upset with themselves afterwards. This just falls in that category for Russell Wilson. It was so bad yesterday that I watched Showtime Boxing. Wow. Wow. No, I didn't go down that road. Definitely not. I mean, keep in mind, the Eagles had a chance to win this bad boy if Jalen Reagor just caught the ball in the end zone on that first miss. That one was more egregious. I mean, they're both just as bad. They're both just as putrid. There's no getting around it. There's no sugarcoating it. They were both really disgusting. I mean, he's going to be drafting. It is what it is. He's going to be drafting. So you can talk about giving someone, he's drafting. He's drafting. I still believe that it has been better as of the recent drafts. You have a dominant offensive line. Three of those guys, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, and Jack Driscoll, unfortunately got hurt, but these guys are under 25 years old. These are three stepping stones to dominance on your offensive line that he does deserve credit for. Now, he's missed. Reagor stinks. J-Jaw stinks. He's missed, but Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson was your latest draft picks in that last recent draft with your top draft picks. They have been better. There has been some decent draft picks throughout that have been selected. You just have to pray that you falls more in that category because Devontae Smith is game-changing. Landon Dickerson is game-changing. These two guys are game-changing talent. You have to hope and pray that the picks that you select fall more in that category than Dallas Goedert. He could be game-changing. The problem is they did not target him. They tried, one of those bubble screens, one of those damn screens again, which just pisses me off. But he is a game-changing type tight end. You saw that against the Saints. They just elected, once again, to force-feed you Jalen Reagor, which was disastrous. But Dallas Goedert is a tight end that can definitely help change the outcome of the game. You have to hope it falls more in that category than the misses, unfortunately. To me, this loss is even more painful when the two Thanksgiving games went our way indirectly. Saints and Cowboys last opened up our playoff window. Then the two Thanksgiving games. Yeah, I mean, this loss stinks. You lost to a team that you should win or you should beat. You lost to a team that stinks. You lost to a team that Joe Judge is the head coach. You lost to a team that scored 13 points after firing their offensive coordinator and Jason Garrett, who stinks. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad look all the way around. I don't think he's pissed at Hurts all around. I think that he's upset as a competitor, but these two guys are boys. And Devontae Smith isn't afraid to go up to Jalen Hurts and talk to him. Jalen Hurts has that type of attitude too, where it's like, tell me. I mean, look, they're really good friends. They spent a lot of time together. If one of my best friends and we played together in the NHL, and afterwards, one of the games, he's like, yo, dude, you got to hit me on that outlet pass more. I dap him up, be like, man, I got you. Right? Like, it's not going to be something where they're going to despise one another and hate one another. They have a friendship and a bond that is super strong where I think they can logically have a competitive type of conversation about things. When I say competitive, it's like coming from the competitive nature of Devontae Smith. It's like, yo, dude, I'm a baller. I'm a beast. I'm wide open. You got to look my direction. You got to find me. And Jalen Hurts, like, yeah, I got you, man. Like, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're 1,000% right. Jalen Hurts isn't going to say, you know what? You're wrong here. It's not Jalen Reagor demanding more looks. It's not J.J. Arcega-Whiteside or Greg Ward demanding more looks. It's one of your best playmakers that's consistently open. I think Jalen Hurts is going to respectfully say, you're right, Devontae. And so is Nick Sirianni, where we got to get these guys going. I know. I saw that, Sean, where Seth Joyner, after the game, even tweeted it out, too, the picture of him going up to grab the football with both of his eyes closed. It's pretty insane that it fell to that level of incompetence for Jalen Reagor, but here we kind of are. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the fact that at such a young age, Devontae Smith is demanding the football, and he's going up to Nick Sirianni and saying, give me the football. It kind of pisses me off that Nick Sirianni at that point doesn't do it and doesn't reward him. And with what he said with what Devontae Smith wanted to do, that wasn't the best matchup. And that's fine if that is the case, but then do something that can be good for him. do something that works for Devontae Smith based off of what you're seeing on the other side with the New York Giants. Because, one of your young players, if a young player like Devontae Smith with a killer mentality and an attitude and a swag wants the ball in his hands to complete the game, you give him that chance. You give him that chance. And if it fails, you don't throw him under the bus and say, well, he wanted it and that's what we went with. You stand up and you say it's my fault. But regardless, you give that kid that opportunity. Once again, it's not Jay Jaw. It's not Jalen Reagor. If Dallas Goedert, if Devontae Smith, if those two players say, give me the chance, I want to secure this win, you look into your play sheet and go, okay, what works best for this player in this spot? Because I'm going to give him that opportunity to do it. That's what I'd be saying. Yeah, I agree. Negadelf. They could have ran the ball down their throat, but they threw a lot more. Yep. They still don't respect Jalen in the air. Yeah, and I wouldn't respect Jalen Hurts in the air right now. Nah. See, I like the whole picks thing. It's like, relax. It's still not about that right now. It'll fall into the place it's supposed to fall into. Don't worry about it. Don't get obnoxious about it. The picks will fall the way they're supposed to. That's my mentality. That's the mentality you should have. Week 17, week 18, whatever the hell it goes to these days, week 92, you can have that conversation on what is best when you see the circumstances, winning a game that doesn't matter and that type of thing, then fine. I'm willing to have that conversation for the last game of the season when you kind of see the standings played out a certain way. But right now, and I'm not telling you anything, it's because of playoffs. Isn't that? It's not about that. It's just from week 7 when people have been crying about the picks to now. It's like, just let the games play out the way that they're going to play out. And then by the last week, you can criticize what they should do in terms of draft picks and things of that nature. So that's kind of where I'm at. But that's kind of where we're going to end things here. It's an extremely disappointing loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. It stings. It's upsetting. Jalen Hurts was bad. Nick Sirianni was bad. This team just overall, you allow 13 points and you lost the football game. You only scored 7. You saw what was effective in that third quarter, and they just didn't stick to what was effective throughout the 60 games long enough, and that was the downfall. So I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out today, for commenting, for having your cup of coffee. I need to have another one, for the donations. Thank you. You guys are the best. I appreciate it. We're going to shut things down here. We have a lot to talk about today. The Magic and the Sixers play tonight. We're going to continue the Sixers conversation as well. I'm just looking at my week in general. I want to touch on the Phillies this week. I want to touch on the Flyers this week. The Flyers are not a game-by-game basis team right now. They're just not. It's putrid hockey. But, there's just a lot to dissect throughout all of this. So a lot coming to you this week. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys later.